Let's look at the blood. In the body we have four components, main components. So we have the red blood cell, we have the white blood cell, we have the platelets, and then we have the plasma. So let's look at each of these blood cells and look at their structural differences and their features and characteristics as well. All right. So starting with the RBC, also known as red blood cell, and in most cases is being referred to erythrocytes. Erythrocytes. Okay, so red blood cell, first of all, we'll look at the shape. They say they are disc shaped cell, and also they lack nucleus. Now, what is the advantage? Okay, let me use the word. What's the benefit of them not having nucleus? The benefit is the fact that not having a nucleus also created enough space for them to carry oxygen within their cytoplasm. So that's what one of the benefits of not having a nucleus does for them. So they have enough space to carry oxygen within their cytoplasm. Okay. Now they are made up of 99% of the blood, of the whole blood. Now 99% is saying that's the reason why when you cut yourself, what you see is red. Now the red color you see is because the red blood cell carries 99% of the components. Okay, then we have we call it the hemoglobin. That's a complex protein. That is one of the things that gives them that makes them magnetic as far as oxygen is concerned. So once the hemoglobin is what gives increases what called the affinity that they have towards oxygen. So that's why white blood cell cannot actually attract oxygen, rather red blood cell, because of this hem group that they possesses. Okay. Now from here they say they carry about 4 oxygen atoms. Okay, so they carry about 4 oxygen atoms, and that's what gives them that bright red color they have. Their lifespan, they live about 4 months. Some say there is, I believe, about 120 days, so that's about 4 months. Then after that they are going to die, and once they die they are going to be excreted from the body in form of a bilirubin. Okay, so you excrete that through your urine and through your feces. Okay, all right, so that's for red blood cell. We've achieved some of the components. So like I said, it says disc shaped, they lack nucleus, they have a hem group that helps them to attract oxygen, and they have a lifespan of about 4 months, and in the total of the whole blood they carries the highest percentage in the whole blood. Okay, so moving on, that's for red blood cell. Moving on to white blood cell. Now white blood cell, as you all know, they are responsible for our immune system. So they are the ones that protects the body against the invaders, bacteria and viruses and some other microorganisms. Now they are larger than red blood cell in size, but they are not larger in numbers. So they are larger in size and they are few in numbers. Now they, unlike the white blood cell, they have a nucleus and they also have a mitochondria. So they don't have enough space like the like the red blood cells to carry oxygen, and they don't have the hem group that enables them to transport oxygen. Okay, so their lifespan is about 13 to 20 days. Now sometimes they live for 1 day. Sometimes they live for 1 day, sometimes they live for 2 days. Now why is it like that? This is because of this has to do with their function. Now if white blood cell is being produced today, and the next day that same white blood cell had to engulf pathogens or virus or bacteria, that white blood cell will also die. So they are kind of, this is what they are suicidal in nature. Once they engulf pathogens, they themselves will die alongside the pathogen. So their work is to sacrifice themselves in order to destroy pathogens. So they use the word they are suicidal. Please take note of this word. They are suicidal in nature. Okay, so here we have 13 to 20 days. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's a 1 day, sometimes it's 2 days, depending on what I just said. Okay, all right, so that is how they look somewhat and within the body system. Okay, so let's look at the next one, which is the platelet. Now, the platelet, they are responsible for blood clotting. Now, blood clotting is what enables healing of wounds. Now, once there's a cut or something happens, the platelet will gather towards that region where that happened, and they will form literally sorry, excuse me, they will form like a glue on the surface. That's why when you cut yourself, you bleed for a few seconds, and after that it stops. So platelets what brings about the first stage of healing, in the sense that they will try to stop bleeding. Okay, so that's why in the case of someone who is having hemorrhage, who is hemorrhaging, hemorrhage as a disorder, what they lack actually is the platelets. So platelet, and that one for platelet is actually thrombocytes. So they lack thrombocytes. That is why they always have excessive. There's always a tear within the capillaries and the veins within their body. Okay. Now, sorry, going back a bit, white blood cells also known as uh, leukocytes. Okay, please take note of that. White blood cells also called leukocytes. Platelet also called thrombocytes, while red blood cell also called erythrocytes. Please take note of this, of the names we just mentioned. Now, platelets are roughly disc-shaped, fewer in numbers and small in size. So they are also small in size, like the red blood cell, but they are not red blood cells though. Now, they are responsible for healing of what I've talked about this. Now, the average lifespan is about 8 to 9 days. About 8 to 9 days, there's the last lifespan, and they also lack nucleus. Okay, so from what we have now, you can see now there is only the white blood cell that we can say, okay, yes, they have nucleus, but other ones they lack nucleus. Okay. All right, so that's for the component. Then the last one, which is not mentioned on this slide, remember I told you I mentioned 4 components, but they usually look at the fact that we have 3 main components of blood. That is white blood cell, the red blood cell, and the platelets. Now, the plasma is not necessarily referred to as a component of red blood cell. Reason is because plasma is just like a stream that holds all this component we just mentioned. Now, think of a cup of water, and then you drop sugar inside, a cube of sugar inside the water, and then you drop a pinch of salt inside that same water, and then you put, let's say you use an oil, you place few drops of oil inside the water. Now the water itself is the plasma. The cube of sugar can be any of the components, the salt can be any of the components, same as the oil. So plasma is just an environment, liquid environment that holds other components. Now, plasma is larger in size, in quantity. Sorry, not in size. Larger in quantity in respect to red blood cell, but red blood cell, because the reason why we use the word 99% of red blood, 99% of the whole this thing is red blood cell, was because of the fact that we are looking at the 3 components, the 3 main components. Now, by percentage, if I have to break it down by percentage, the 4 of them, red blood cells is about 45%, plasma is about 55%, and then the other ones we share the remaining percent remaining. Okay, so that should show you how they work. But plasma is mostly not regarded as a component of the blood, so that is why we don't use the percentage I just mentioned. All right, so that's that for the components of blood. If you want to know more about them, you can do more research. You can do more research and get to know about them, because there's still more about them. Mostly when it comes to white blood cells, there are different types. There are about 3 types or more in white blood cells, but we're not going into that for now. We are looking at, you're trying to cover what the syllabus expects of us. All right. Now, having achieved that, now let's look at the heart. Wow. Let's look at the heart. When I say the heart, I'm referring to now the human heart. So, like I told you, we are more focused on the human heart. So this is the human heart. This is how it looks. So if you have to bring out a heart from your chest, this is how it looks. Now, first of all, I want to take note of the shape. The shape is, if you look at the shape, you can see it's tilted a bit. It's tilted a bit. It's not standing straight. It's tilted a bit. Okay, so that's the question. Anytime you are drawing the heart, make sure you tilt it. Make sure you tilt it, because is very necessary to tilt. Okay. So another thing I want to take note of in this structure here is the fact that is if you look at the body, you will see lines of muscles. So that's what we refer to as the not the muscles now, sorry, looking at the networks of vessels. Now the heart pumps blood, and the heart itself requires some of the component that the blood brings. Okay, so that's what they have all those things around them, but don't worry, we'll talk about that later. Then let's look at the vessels here. Now the vessel, if you look at, you will see multiple vessels. You can see this is a vessel, this is another one. Some are big, some are small, some are big, some are small. So these are different vessels. So the heart keeps going like that. That's the heartbeat. Now they said there's about, you will have about 75 pulse in a minute. That's their heartbeat. I meant the heart beats like 75 times. Okay, some cases it can be more, some cases it can be less. So when it's more, that means you're having the one they call high BP, that is high blood pressure, where you have multiple, more than the usual beats. Okay. All right. So let's look at this heart. Let's look at let's look at the description of what this heart is. All right. Now the heart, first thing here, I said the heart consists of 4, 3, or 2 chambers. Now the reason why I have 4, 3, or 2 chambers is because we're dealing with different organisms now. Now, like when we looked at the fish, discovered that fish has 2 chambers. Some animals, they have 3-chambered hearts, while humans and some other animals as well, we have 4-chambered hearts. So that's how I have to say, use the word, the heart consists of 4, 3, or 2 chambers. Okay. Now these 4 chambers comprises of the atrium and the ventricle. The atrium and the ventricle, because the if you look at the way the heart is structured, you can easily partition this heart into two. You can easily divide it into the left and the right, the left and the right. And then take note of this: when you are deciding which side of the heart is you call the right, the left, or the right, you have to kind of back the structure. Take for instance, if the heart is inside of my body now, like my heart now, I can easily tell you that this is the right side of my heart, while this is the left side of my heart. But if you are looking at me, if you are looking at me, my right will be your left, so your left will be my right, like that. So put yourself in the position. So right now, this is the right side of my heart. So as I'm looking at this heart, I'm taking this side to be the right and this side to be the left based on my position. So same thing goes for you. So it's your position that decides which side is the right and which side is the left side. Please take note of that. Don't make that mistake. So like I said, it's divided into two. We have the atrium and we have the ventricles. Now atrium, also known as auricle. Okay, then we have the ventricle. Now because of the side, that's why we have the right atrium, there's my right, the right atrium, and the left atrium. Then we also have the right ventricle and then the left ventricle. Okay, now mind you, atrium are known to receive. Atrium are the ones that receive, whether it's in the left or is in the right, they are the receive, while the ventricles always pump. So atriums are the upper chamber, while the ventricles are in the lower chamber. That's what we refer to as chambers. Okay, so on the upper chamber is divided into two. We have the right side and we have the left side. Now the reason why it's called chamber is because there's a partition between all of them. Blood cannot just diffuse into the other chamber without going through the normal channel. So there's always a partition between them. So this partition is called the septum. Now the septum always partition them. So blood must pass through the normal channel. So they can't just cross over through the walls. No. So that's why it's called a chamber. So there's a demarcation. So in your heart right now, you have 4 demarcations. 2 at the top, 2 below. So the ones at the top is what we call the atrium. Ones below is what we call the ventricle. Okay. Okay, there's also a valve. There's also a valve. Think of a valve as just a doorway in which the blood flow passes through. Remember, I told you they don't just pass through the wall. There is always a gated path where they must pass through. Okay. Now, this valve, they are situated between the chambers and at the point where blood leaves the heart. Now, valves are present to ensure that blood only travels in one direction. So in your heart, blood is not meant to go. Blood is not meant to go from your ventricles into your atrium. No, blood is not meant to go from your ventricle into your atrium. Blood is meant to go from your atrium into your ventricle. And what prevents them from flowing backward is because of the valve, which we're going to discuss very soon. Okay, so let's look at how the heart works. Let's look at how the heart works. Now, this is a full a structure showing the interior part of the heart. This is a structure showing the interior part of the heart. Now, look at the first. Okay, let me put it this way. Just pay attention to the diagram. Let me get now. Look at the heart. Look at the heart and look at it closely. You will see arrows here. Some point is you just let's follow the arrow, the direction of the arrows. Now, there's an acronym I want to bring to your notice. There's an acronym. This acronym, I call it LORD. L-O-R-D. LORD. L-O-R-D. Now, L stands for left. O stands for oxygenated. R stands for right, while D stands for deoxygenated. Now, what that means is this. On the left side of the heart, is where you have blood carrying oxygen. So in the illustration, color description, they always paint it red. Blood carrying oxygen is always seen on the left side. So if you look at the heart right here on the screen, remember what I told you, position yourself properly, you will now see the side that is left and the side that is right. Okay, so when you position yourself properly, you understand what I mean. Now, using the color now look at the part called the pulmonary vein. Look at the pulmonary vein. You can see arrow showing that blood is going into the heart through the pulmonary vein. Now, somebody asks a question, which side, where is the beginning? Can we call this the beginning? Now, the truth is, because it's a cycle, there's no beginning. You can decide to start from the other side. You can start from any part. There's no beginning at all. So you can decide where you want to use as your beginning, because it's a cycle. Oxygenated. R stands for right, while D stands for deoxygenated. Now, what